Mr. Hemi in the house. How are we doing? A special uh, episode. The Queen is Dead. A great song and musical album by the Smiths. However, let's talk the royal family. What does the royal family do? Polska, delivering flowers. Thomas Newton back, red neck, red pills in the house. Pars, God couldn't save this queen from the fascist regime. Little Sex Pistols reference from Pars. Love it. What's going on? Back-to-back days. I just figured I needed to bring this up because I'm riding mountain bikes and next week I'm out of town for work. Jay Wizzo, what are you drinking? Seltzer water. Got another 45 minutes to finish my 24-hour fast. Lizard Queen is dead. I don't know much about the royal family. I never cared about the royal family. I don't know what they do. Apparently, I was looking them up. They attend state dignitary events. They're more place figureheads than anything. They used to have power centuries ago, but now they apparently people like to track their lives through magazines. I remember in South America, they love the royal families. Every goddamn gossip rag was about the royals. So weird. Dave M is in the house. Good to see you. Mile High Ronin is back. Polska, the stream is not like approved the European investigation. The Queen is dead. That is the truth. Yesterday, she had passed a very long run. I didn't know much about the Queen. I don't know anything what she's done. Apparently, she has run the monarch for multiple decades. Now Charles in Charge, which was a show in the 80s. We call him Chachi, right? Chachi in Charge. Joni and Chachi is in charge. So what does he do, right? What does he do? The end of an era, said Dave. We got One Fast is back. Check out Dak's channel. Check out Polska's channel. Check out everybody's channel on here. And then we tell Dak, all our Canadian brothers, to salute the Queen. Now we're going to have to say salute the King. As you cross over the borders, salute the King Charles. Polska's off today. There you go. You know, just saying the Queen is dead, I'm going to have to listen to the Smiths, and then I'm going to have to listen to the Sex Pistols. God save the Queen, right? God bless the Queen from Canada. I don't know much about, I know that the Queen, it's interesting because there's a King of Spain as well. But I don't know much about the royals, besides the fact that the men always jump in the military. They take high levels of military. I did like the fact that Prince Harry, actually, wasn't he in special forces with the British military a few years back, maybe half a decade ago? The Islamic nations did not want him to exist above this mortal coil, and they were trying to get him. But at least, you know, the two boys and Charles, they were military guys. I don't know much about Prince Andrew. I don't know much about Prince Charles. I just read a little bit about them, that they have also done military service. So good for them, serving their countries. Obviously have high potential. They're not going to be some military police or a cook in the commissary, but at least they put in their time, and then they go back and they run and they carry the title of prince and what have you. But don't know much about them. Never really cared about them, just because it's so far across the pond. Although I have English ancestry, maybe I should care about them. You know, there's been discussion about Princess Di and Charles and Harry and Kate. Now Harry simped out and married a gal that was a divorcee, Meghan Markle, a washed up actress. So we saw some blue pill simping there. Definitely. In fact, multiple channels have talked about Prince Harry, who could get a gal because he's a prince. And I think before he married Meghan Markle and blue pilled himself out and literally, does everything opposite we talked about, he probably could have drawn. He probably could have been a Leo DiCaprio. What do you guys think? His dad, he wasn't raised by his mother because his mother passed away in the accident. His father raised him, and the Queen. You'd think that he would have, I don't know. He just seemed like a kid that was a lot stronger mentally, like a Leo DiCaprio before he married the gal. But anyhow, Hamster is alive. He's live too. It's 12:15 Mountain Time. I'm just figuring out there's some brothers across the pond that are up. Manage Roy from Mumbai. There you go. I'm going to break Hamster's balls. Manage Roy says movie is creating simping behavior in man. Yes, it is. So what is your experience with the royals? Do you care about the royals? Are they something that's important to you? Do you see any relationship issues, blue pill, red pill? What do we see with the royals? Are they just basically, a picture in a magazine? I've never been to England. I'd love to go to England. Again, ancestry. A lot of my favorite bands are from Manchester and London. And I think that there's quite a bit of history. So I'd love to visit there, maybe take a week and visit Scotland, Wales, England, and so forth. My brother lived up north in England, up in Leeds. But I've never been. Someday. I just think it's too far of a flight. If I'm going to go there from Utah, I'd rather have like a month so I can visit everything, go to Spain and Portugal and kind of the areas that I've always wanted to visit. But anyhow, the Queen is dead. Served a hell of a long time, 96 years old. My great-grandmother died at 96. And now it's in the hands of Charles, who married not a very attractive gal after Princess Di. I got to be real, man. I don't think that Camilla gal she did not have the goods in terms of physical goods, but who knows? Maybe they have a better friendship, right? Strength and Iron in the chat. Good to see you. Jimmy Kramer is back, our forever bachelor on the golf course, listening to this wisdom. This is more of a, hey, I want to hear from my Canadian brothers, my English brothers living that have had, even India has had British influence. Would love to hear what are the thoughts out there? What are people saying? I know somebody had mentioned that didn't wish really bad ill on the Queen during her passing, and I thought that was ridiculous. Regardless if you like her or not, or like the royal family or not, they do have historical, cultural, and social presence in all of our lives, regardless how they touch it. Again, the latest that we have from a red pill perspective is Prince Harry marrying a divorced woman that was older. That's a no-no when it comes to what men do. Men should marry younger. Men should marry women that were never married and marry women that don't have kids, right? But I don't know much about the Queen. I don't know much about anything. I've never been to Buckingham Palace. Homie Brandon is back from the East Coast. What's good to you, brother? Good to have you again. Well, Charles ain't model material. Resabite Heonap. Yeah, I don't think that he looks like a royal guy, but definitely interesting. I always thought the Queen's husband, what was his name? Prince Philip? Thought he was an interesting looking guy too. But I don't know much about him. There was a time when I kind of tried to understand what the hell they do. And apparently they go to all these special classes on how to act and how to curtsy, how to bow, how to talk. So there's definitely formality within the royal family. And they definitely have different jobs and duties, and it has to do with being a presence with dignitaries and meetings and with the peasants. We can call them the peasants, the public. But other than that, Not a lot. Lisa Smith back. Hey, Rad, R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth. What does Lisa think about the Queen? She had a great life, 96 years old. Good for her to pass on. And think Prince Philip, didn't he die like a year or two ago? Back together again. I never was into following that cup of tea. I spent a couple weeks there in the 80s only because of a flight attendant lured me there. I am John, laying it down to Chinatown about the flight attendants. Flight attendants luring me for 300 Trebek. Love it. Down with the monarchy, bunch of liberal inbreds. You know, it's interesting. You go back and you look at all the countries in Europe, they're all related centuries and centuries ago. You got to go back to what, 400 AD? They're all related. You go and be the king and queen of France. You go and be the king of Spain and Holland and England, and it's all related. They're all goddamn related. So that is not a bad comment or a wrong comment. They definitely probably have crossed ancestral lines or blood. They kept the bloodlines pure. Wasn't that the Game of Thrones? They wanted to keep the bloodlines pure with the prince and princess when they were shagging. But who knows? Who knows? They misguide man by stating a woman is the one that's sacrificed. In real life, it is the opposite, where a man loses everything. This is the crap that is fed by movies. Well, that's the agenda. You know, it's funny that people say that I'm going to deviate here, but I just saw this article on Yahoo about, I've been seeing it quite a bit. They're showcasing Demi Moore at 59 and how she looks great in a bikini. And I've seen it multiple, oh, she looks good in this bikini. She's out in the Mediterranean. I've seen multiple articles about Demi Moore. Is it the agenda that they're pushing older ladies to look younger? What is it? But again, it's to distract us. And it's to say, hey, even 59-year-old women are hot. Now, she's a very attractive woman, still in her age. You know, the wall hasn't hit her very hard. But that's, again, fed by the internet, movies, and so forth. So that comment is well received. It's very simple. Just never turn your back on the Queen. I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, hell, I wouldn't be saying anything. Again, I don't know much about the Queen. I know my grandmother talked about the Queen, my dad's mom. But then again, she was born in 1915, and when she died in 1990, you know, she grew up with the Queen. Or she knew the Queen before the Queen. So if she served for 70 years at the age of 26, what's 70 years ago? The late 40s, 50s? So there was another, whoever was in ahead of that. What's Dak think about the Queen? Does this mean the end of liberal totalitarianism? Who knows? I know Prince Charles is quite liberal, climate guy as well. So I wonder what's going to happen. It's very interesting times we live in, folks. Lots of close genes. English usually have horse teeth. You know, when they talk about English, when I grew up and learning about English, even before I liked the English bands, everybody talked about biscuits and tea, fish and chips, and bad teeth. But, you know, there's a lot of great things about England. I mean, they got great brews. They've got great bands, Motorhead, The Cult, my favorite band, The Smiths, a lot of great punk bands, The Exploited, GBH. You know, there's some great music over there. But it rains too damn much. I grew up in Oregon. I don't want rain like that anymore. So no thanks. The Queen had a charmed life, but a ton of responsibility. Her public image was everything, not really my cup of tea. And Charles isn't good looking at all. Charles for most handsome man of the year for 300 Trebek. Chachi is in charge of England now. Chachi is in charge. The Queen was actually German. Interesting. They changed name to Windsor because of the optics during the Great War. That's very interesting to know, Mr. Hemi. And Hemi is Canadian, which Canada basically is North America, Britain and North America, right? A lot of British influence. FJT are In studio, Giga Chad is back. What does FJT think about the royals? Most of the divorce law in my country is crafted by actors and directors of movie. It seems these directors are the ones that is in favor of divorce and alimony. Or they're just taking a cue from a lot of other countries and municipalities. Don't get married, says Vention. Being Canadian, I think very highly of the Queen, an amazing person. She'll be missed. Yesterday was a hard day for me. Well, condolences to you, Dak. Again, this is not a show to bash the royals. It's to understand what the royals do. For me, how important was the king and queen to people? Here in the States, we didn't really follow the queen. We obviously fought against Britain in the 1700s. So the queen, in the end, I mean, we see the media with the queen, but I don't think the folks in the States really understand the influence of the king and queen and the royals. But nonetheless, we want to hear more about the discussion. Rab, thank you for this video, my love. I lived in Britain for a time in my life. When I attended university for college, my husband and I are mourning the passing of the Queen Mother. Again, condolences. What about the Queen was so important? Was she a person? It seemed to me that the Queen spoke to the commoner. She doesn't like have vibes of this grandiose, I am the queen, you will bow down to me. She seemed more of a, more interested in the common person. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? God Save the Queen. I think the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten met the Queen about that. And it's also interesting to know that, so when Michael Jackson played the Buckingham Palace or wherever he played in England years ago, when she was alive, maybe in 94, 95, he actually took out Dirty Diana, which was that song that Slash played guitar on. And Diana said it was her favorite song and wanted him to play it. But he felt, Michael Jackson just felt really odd because he's playing in front of the royal family and he thought that Dirty Diana would not be kosher. Or, what's the word? The courtesy of playing it would not be there. But Princess Di came up and said she was a huge fan of Michael Jackson. That was her favorite song. So anyhow, they seem to be down to earth, at least several of them. I don't know much about Charles. I've only heard him speak maybe once or twice in my life, but I don't know much about him. FJT is indifferent to the royals. We all live and die. Yes, we do. Yeah. God flushed the queen, don't simp. Was Prince Harry simping for Meghan? I think so. She was coronated I think at 26, right? So if she was a queen for 70 years, she died at 96, she was coronated very young. Well, a 25-year-old back in the 40s is like a 45-year-old today, right? Very proper, very mature, very courtesy was important, manners, things like that. This is something, in fact, we could talk about this. This is something there was still posture, right? Even in the royal family today, people acted, they didn't act thoughty. The only person that really disrupted anything was Meghan Markle. And some people could say that Princess Di disrupted it, but I think Princess Di is the only princess I've ever seen in my life. I thought even when I saw her, when she married Charles back in the 80s, I thought she looked like a princess. In fact, when she died, it was very sad because that's the only princess I've known. So if any woman thinks she's a princess outside of Princess Di, go kick rocks. But Prince Di was the only princess. I thought she was a very attractive woman. She seemed like a commoner as well that loved. Didn't she come? She wasn't royal. I don't know the bloodlines with her or anything, but she seemed like she was for the people. Lots of trips to Africa, dealing with sick kids and starvation and things like that. So, whatever you think, the royal family actually did adhere to a frame, if you think about it. How they presented themselves to the world, how they presented themselves to each other, how they presented themselves to the common man and woman. So kudos to that. Again, other than that, I don't know much about them. They're more cherished again in Canada, in British colonies, in Belize probably, which was British Honduras, in some of the lower Antilles Islands, and so forth. Hemi says, the Queen Mom was the real sweetheart. There you go. Dax says she was 21. Interesting. Oh, that's young. My daughter at 21, it was like 12 mentally. Americus is back. Decorum. I am John. I love that dirty Diana in your motoring. There you go. I'm not a. I believe that Meghan Markle, Americus, is the worst thing for the royal family. I think she's infiltrating Western, even though there's a lot of Western influence in Britain and vice versa. I think that was not a good play. And look what's happening now. They're kind of splitting, and she's running it. She's splitting Harry against his own royal bloodline. I mean, look what Harry's gone through, right? Again, I'm not pro anything. I'm just talking, but Harry's gone through the loss of his mother. He went through the potential assassination of himself when the militaries wanted to get him. He's been through a lot, dealing with Camilla, his new stepmother, at such a young age, and yet he simps and gets with this Markle, who's basically, to me, melanoma for the royal family. Agree with that statement. Managed Roy says every leader should focus on common person, else it will destroy the country. Favoritism destroys the place where it was started. You're right. Is there a king and queen in India? Not sure about that. They said Markle rode the CC. I'm sure she did, man. She was married once, so before marriage and after the post-divorce fog with the CC. Damn right. Harry is getting sloppy seconds, but I'm sure he's had his share of ladies. Diana was murked because she was carrying an Islam. There you go. Potential. Yeah. I think there's something very weird and interesting about the manner and the way and with whom she passed away. Let's just say that. Dave M says they are racist, man. Don't know about that. The royal family has been marred by scandal over the years, but the queen loved her children regardless of their shortcoming. That is what made her a queen and royal and a mother. I like to hear these things because I didn't know. Don't know a lot about it. The only thing I've known is Prince Harry, the death of the Queen, the death of Prince Philippe, or King. Was he a king? I don't know. Philip, and then Andrew, who's in trouble with all the Epstein crap. So that's all I know. And it seems like Prince William's wife, they seem like a cool couple. Like they seem really nice and a lot of courtesy on their end. Whether is her name Kate? She seems like a very, but I don't know. But that's just to me what I've seen in the news, right? I'm glad we have some folks, all those that definitely respect us. I love to hear about this, love to learn about it. So she definitely made an impact for several folks in the chat and around the world, multiple people. Meghan Markle is a divorcee and a feminist. Not good. You think there's any feminists in the royal family? I would say that they follow a frame and boundary, right? She is a whore, then she is definitely right. I think she looks like that to me, guys. Maybe a little. She's a born again virgin, maybe. Okay, hamster NFL contriver went Darth Vader. I like. Unapproved, says Polska. I am John says Harry got sent marrying Meghan. What a tragedy. I would agree with that statement 100%. To me, he seemed like a Leo DiCaprio even before she popped in. The Crown family is comparable to a Jerry Springer show. I saw it once. Mile High Ronin. Well, there's been a lot of scandals, as Michelle have talked about, but there's no more of a scandal than Prince Andrew. And but they're human beings, right? Could you imagine being born in a royal family where the whole world looks at you? That the Queen of England is one of the isn't out of the conspiracy folks, isn't the Queen of England one of the top 5 families that run the world? But just think about being in that environment. I don't know, maybe they get used to it. Maybe it's just normal to them. Who knows? Kate Middleton. That's her. She seems cool. When I grew up between Ireland, Norway, and Britain, I may live in America, but my life was spent between my homelands, my love. Yeah, I mean, you guys would know more than us. It seems cool as crap. The only problem with England just seems like it rains too damn much. But I will go and visit it. So who's ever over there, we will hang out and have a Boddingtons. We don't hear about Prince William and Princess Kate much here in the U.S. because she doesn't crave the spotlight like Meghan. And I think that's cool. I think they seem more humble. Again, I believe that Markle is a melanoma to the royal family that's spreading. And look what's happening. She's pulled Harry away. In the last 4 or 5 years been a shit show. I don't know what the king just said and labeled. Apparently he made a speech and addressed Harry and his wife. I don't know what they talk about though. One, I'll always be a daughter of the European nation. Of course. Phoenix is back. Dirty Diana, great song by Michael Jackson. My grandma was a massive monarchist. We came from British and Welsh stock. Gotcha. Again, king and queens, you know, it's a cultural, it's a social thing. Government, I'm sure that the government consults with the royal family at times on certain issues, which is what I would think, or they get the blessing. Would that be right? I'll win Brian 777. She is evil, says Brian. But the royals have provided nothing besides entertainment. Britannia no longer rules the waves. I think, yeah, you know, it's more of a, again, placeholder. It's more of a, you know, a proper English presence in the world. How about that? That's how I view the royals. Now, do I have any desire to go to Buckingham Palace? No, I could care less. I do. Not the fact I don't care. It doesn't strike my fancy. Maybe I'd like to see the one guy sitting next to the clock, Big Ben or whatever, and the military folks, but I can see the military folks in Canada. They look very similar, right? The Royal Mounted Canadian Police. How a woman would get naked in front of television and not a shameless woman, my friends tell me that they're just acting as a good person. Well, could be a good person, but not a lot of morals. Rad, I get mocked for still loving my homelands. I love my adopted home, America, but I wish people would stop mocking me for still living where I came from. Well, you know what? Just own it. You're fine with it. You got a good husband and 2 kids. Black Pill Neil, thoughts, or one on the way. Thoughts on Michael Jackson? Great musician, great entertainer. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even have a Michael Jackson. I grew up with Michael Jackson, Thriller. I mean, I remember the Jackson 5 growing up and Rock With Me, right? When he had the huge afro. But as far as his personal and how he lived, I mean, it's got to be hard being that famous. That's all I got to say. But his personal preferences, yeah, probably not a fan of that because I saw the documentary. I don't know what to think, but it's just weird. How about that? Scouts living in Bavaria. Check it out. I'll check it out. Remember the time she took kids from school and they were never seen again. Who are we talking about? She had connection with blank. Their family looted India. I don't know anything about this. I mean, there's probably scandals. There's scandals in the White House. There's scandals with the Bushes and the Trumps and the Clintons and the Bidens. I think scandal is just common wherever there's power. Wherever there's power, there's corruption. Simple as that. Wherever there's power, there's corruption. And, you know, we don't know. I never met the Queen. I never hung out with them. I've never spent any majority of time. But from what I've seen, and maybe the media has, you know, positioned it in a way, but it seems like the Queen was very humbling to the common person. I mean, she obviously had, you know, celebrities and musicians show up. Elton John loves her. She's crowned Sir Paul McCartney and Rod Stewart, so who knows? Jimmy Page, Robert Plant. Thanks, Phoenix. But I would say Dax the number one. We like Dax videos. Ecclesiastes, a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord. I think when people lose their morals, I mean, we're all imperfect, let's be real, but when someone truly gets that crazy, I lost morals, there's just no turning back. Even in the red pill and a man going his own way, we've talked about this, men with high body counts, I don't think that's good either, right? The guy that's out saying he's slayed 1,500 women, is that really an accomplishment? Think about it. The only thing that's an accomplishment is his power. The women, the power women or laying with women have to him. Lucas says Rome normalized blank before collapse. Well, that happened back in the Roman times as well. Caligula, he was a whack job. Was it Caligula? Dak, you hear controversy in voice. It's not the power that rules. The one who creates the power rules. I've seen it happen. Sure. Daniel H. says, Megan, a woman that marries an actual prince and still lives in the feminist mindset and made up perpetual victimhood. There you go. It's a good, Daniel H. It's a great explanation of Harry's wife. We call her melanoma. Didn't she also knight Jim? She knighted a bunch of folks. There's a huge list. It sounds so weird. I think, okay, you guys are talking about the voice. Jawara's back. Good to see Jawara. Yeah, I went live a minute before I posted it. Good to have you. Jeremy Bailey, I had my Union Jack flying today at half mast. It's strange having a king now. Jeremy's from the UK. I mean, this is why we did it. What are the brothers? What does the group think about? And it sounds like you had an endearing perspective on the Queen if you're carrying that flag at half mast, as does Lisa, Dak, Michelle. It's good to hear this, Mr. Hemi. Jimmy Seville, I don't know who that is. Check out Dak's channel as well. Sub out to him. Slade equals conquistador. Correct. America's the Neo-Roman Empire. Excellent point. I would agree with that statement 100%, Mr. DeVille. 100%. America has turned into Rome, probably worse than Rome. Well, Roman soldiers, if they lost the war and they entered Roman territory, they'd get molten gold poured down their throats. And most soldiers would self-delete before that happened. Rome also crucified Jesus Christ if you believe in Jesus Christ. So those guys are ruthless. I can't imagine. I don't know if we're there yet, but close in terms of morals. But well said. She was born the same year as my Nan, and to me, the Queen represents the generation of people. I think that's what we were talking about, Jeremy. She seems more of a humble person that really represents the common person. That's my deal. Now, has she had to deal with scandals? 100%. All power institutions, all presidencies, all dictatorships, they all deal with scandal. However, to me, that's what she looked like. 37 hours behind CJ. You got to listen to that on two speed. He speaks so slow that once you have 2 speed, it makes everything even more funny. JDK, I don't know what those are. Jawara D. King, there you go. Queen is dead, long live the king, says Betty. What does Jeremy think about the king now? I have respect for her generation. Well, I think we were just talking about that. Like literally, the royal family it was prim and proper. They had frame. They had a way of living that didn't infiltrate with this thought culture until Meghan Markle shows up. Or whatever. Like we can say Prince Andrew was messing around with, but that was a long time ago. But Meghan Markle has now put the whole feminist victimhood thought culture divorcee into the royal family, and it's creating obviously separation with Harry and the group. So CJ's got 8 channels. It's got too many of them. Why taxation without representation? Why not spread the wealth? Don't know if that's going to happen, but apparently Potato Joe is spreading the wealth by paying off people's college loans. I paid for my college loan. I paid college myself and bought my first house and bought my cars and did everything and paid for the honeymoon. The only thing I got from my parents was $100 and I paid them back. Jimmy Savile was Brit TV do known, okay, knighted by the Queen Rebel. Didn't know that. Well, I'm sure that there's some knights that have been knighted. Maybe they were knighted for the accomplishment, not the person. But again, what's the message versus the messenger, right? People ask me all the time what I think. Some of them I can't stand. But there are messages within their content that contain wisdom. So, but I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. So everyone's talking about Savile as being highly elitist, but has some discretion when it comes to his desires. Interesting. I think we'll see a big change in Charles' demeanor. He's always been happy to joke around in public, but he needs to be more solid and stoic like his mother was. Yeah, he definitely took the back seat. I always wondered, how come the Queen's husband wasn't, like, I always wondered the hierarchy. Why isn't he the king? Was he? But I don't know the bloodline. I don't know anything. Maybe the Queen has the actual bloodline before when she was coronated. I don't know. Maybe you Brits can help me out. Do you see an electric grill or charcoal grilling later, and the electric one seems lemon? You got to have fire, real flame. Electric seems too, if you want something electric, get a George Foreman and make a couple of turkey burgers or whatever. Charcoal or natural gas? Ooh, they both have a flame. What do you guys think? Hemi says Epstein was on, or Andrew was on Epstein's. Well, it sure shows it. I saw that documentary about the Epstein and all that. Charcoal. I like charbroiled. I like char. How about that? But I also, hey, propane's great too, right? Natural gas, as Dax says. There you go. Ghost sure is back in the house. Good to see you. There you go. Let's ask Lisa. Great barbecue happens with charcoal in Kansas City. Would that be correct? Or use a smoker. There you go. Well, guys, this has been great. I've learned a lot about what the sentiment is out there. We've talked a little bit about red pill and blue pill and the issue Harry is having, being a blue-pilled simp, marrying a divorced feminist victim. What that might, what the issues have been in the last few years with that, and how there's been a separation between the royals. We talked about how the Queen of England was definitely a voice, a persona for the common man, the common woman, the common child. So it's been definitely great to hear, what people think. In fact, hopefully those that listen to this later, add your comments. Even if you've lived in any other country, what is your perception of the Queen? There's some that's not going to like the Queen, but the majority here today have a huge, endearing heart towards the Queen. And it's good to know. Again, I didn't grow up in a family that talked about the Queen at all. In fact, it was kind of a joke with my dad. And, the royals are on TV again. But then the real big thing that happened in my life was when Prince Charles married Princess Diana. I remember that on TV. I was a youngster. And then the death of Princess Di. And that is really the only time I got invested in, and I wouldn't say the marriage, there was investment, but 1997 was when I got married, and that year is when she died. And I remember that because we were married, right? And that was the biggest piece of news in 1997. Smoker is the ultimate barbecue. There you go. Schoolhouse Rock, no more kings. There you go. Electric is the beginning of soft man era. You know what? I'll tell you this, but air fryers can make tater tots in 6 minutes. They can make mushrooms amazing. I don't have to heat the damn, whatchamacallit up, oven. Take 10, 15 minutes to heat the oven up, another 15 to cook it. So I do like air fryers. They do have their place for the wrap. Heat and meat can never go wrong. MGTOW for the win. Harshit is back. Good to have you guys. You guys have fun. Hit the chats this weekend. Get on the live streams. Dak's probably going to have one. Polska's going to have one. Who else we got? You know, represent. Definitely keep doing what you need to be doing. Quit giving power to those that are outside of your realm. Put it within yourself. I will, in the meantime, be riding Park City on my mountain bike. I just fixed my seat. I have a dropper, and that is it. I will reach out here to the legendary John Boston. I was on the boat heading to Nantucket when Diana died. Yeah, I remember that. The whole world shut down. Thanks again to the wrenches. Appreciate it. John Boston, I love air fryers. You guys are great. Rebel against defeat, chase excellence, masculinity, men first.